Do I need to break out the Jeopardy music, Johnny?
No, because we just started. You'd like to throw things off, don't you?
I mean,
You immediately throw the wrench as soon as we get started.
that's that's how we do things around here. Hi, everybody. How's it going?
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Torture is How You Make Friends.
Oh, you are.
What's you were saying?
No, go on. You got this.
Today we have with us your favorite drunken uncle. It's Drunken Uncle.
Oh, God, I hate you two. The shit I just went through on a Sunday, on God's day. You made me sit down for an hour and watch stand-up. First of all, let's talk about that word and what it means.
Well, first of all, we didn't make you do anything. We don't have subpoena power here. You came of your own volition. And
I'm regretting every minute.
And compared to most of our guests, you had way more forewarning.
This is and that is how you made me, because it came to it. I looked up London Hughes and I went, oh God, I want to cancel. But it's you gave me so fucking 3 times a week. This man was fucking DMing me, going, just making sure that you're still able to make it on Sunday. Yeah. So it came to the point where I can't wriggle out of it now. I really should have looked up this bitch beforehand and gone, do you know what? No. I'm deleting the channel. I'm dead. I can't do it. I'm dead.
So all of a sudden we were blocked by everything. Like, what the hell's going on here?
And to be perfectly honest, we wouldn't have blamed you one bit either.
I want a felt band.
No, we would not have held any ill will at all if you had done that.
Jesus, that was a harrowing experience.
Just put on like the fake Groucho Marx mustache and glasses. Just create a whole new channel.
I think that might be on the cards. Well, I mean, it's too late for that now. I think what we're looking at now is a heroin addiction instead.
Well, there is a Columbia professor that I was just reading about.
I do know that, yeah. We heard that on the AAA on Friday, and we were very judgmental. But, after watching London Hughes To Catch a Dick, I'm a little bit more sympathetic towards that Columbia professor.
just willing to just ride that horse, huh?
Why wasn't he on anything stronger?
If I'm not mistaken, Carl
Hart do anything stronger?
He's been advocating for drugs for a while, but that's beside the point. We're here to talk about a different junkie,
a different type of life-destroying substance. London Hughes stand-up experience.
And Rich is automatically asking if it was as bad as Hannah Gadsby. Now, Drunkle, you've seen the Hannah Gadsby specials, yeah?
I know of them. I couldn't
know of them, but you couldn't
sit down and watch them. I mean, good God.
Well, we can't blame you there because we watched both of them, and yes, they are bad. I
mean, at least this bitch was, trying to tell jokes, unlike Hannah Gadsby.
I would say that this one was closer to the Leslie Jones one we watched last time with Poe. There was a lot of loudness, very very loud woman, and a lot of dance moves.
I think she's like a black Amy Schumer.
Actually, that's what I was going to call her because we had a review from Paste magazine, which I've never actually read Paste magazine. I automatically think of like that kid in kindergarten class whenever I hear the title. But yeah, they actually made a reference to Amy Schumer in their review of her.
Well, that's not to be confused with Paste Aficionado magazine.
Oh, Paste Eater magazine. Yeah. But no, aside from your regret for agreeing to do this, what did you actually think of the special?
Well, I mean, if you're going to compare it to the likes, she tried. So she did actually try to tell jokes, unlike Hannah Gadsby.
So A for effort. A for effort.
There wasn't a lot of my vagina. I think I only captured 3 references to it, and they were all kind of, throwaway, like, oh, my vagina left my body, or I can feel it in my vagina. all right, that's fair enough. I don't really know, man. I've only seen one guy say I can feel it in my balls, man, and that was on the Channel 4 show called Misfits, which, by the way, was fucking hilarious. A lot of repetition in this. It's like when she'd hit a punchline and she didn't get the laugh that she thought she deserved. Repeat the punchline. They just don't understand it. Otherwise, they'd be laughing, right? So say it again, louder. You know, I mean, this woman at the beginning, she described herself as the female Richard Pryor. And immediately I had that Harry Potter meme in my head going, you don't get to stand where he stood. But then there's also the likes of, the intro. Like, as she was introducing the special, before she even came on stage, that did make me laugh because she's chatting to the camera and then a guy's head just appears from between her legs. And I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. It did remind me of the Sarah Silverman, her last special, when she was introducing it, and she was saying a lot of comedians have rituals. This guy liked to get really drunk. This guy get really stoned. All I have is a single breath mint up my asshole. And that made me laugh. That was one of the instances where the intro to the stand-up was actually better than anything happened in the stand-up. Yeah. That was awfully reminiscent of that. It maybe just be women doing that. I don't fucking know. But mostly, it just really, really pissed me off. There was a lot of things. What was it she said? I don't look how I sound. Because because no Brit can be black. You know, she's black in LA and everyone's, what's that fucking coming out of her face? The whole thing was basically, I'm a slut and incredibly proud of it. She was repeating the punchlines, as I said. She once said, I'm single because I'm confident, I'm successful, and I'm a comedian. No, you're not. You're single because you're a goddamn bitch, woman. And then she goes, she's been going on about she was a right slut when she was younger, fucking sitting on faces, catching dick, sucking dicks. Her friends called her the seagull. And then later on went, my mum's watching this. Good God, woman. Your mum is...
Well, she is a genetic whore, so I mean,
she threw her mother and grandmother into the bus. She was saying that there was 3 generations of hoes in her family.
Oh no, she threw the guys into there too.
All of them. And there was a whole story about she dated a guy with a foot fetish, and she wasn't really into him until he would buy her shoes, and the relationship carried on. And she said she was sleeping with the guy in exchange for shoes, and the audience applauded this.
Well, I mean, it is Los Angeles. That is the bastion of whores in America.
Well, there's obviously, like, it's stand-up and everything. I go, okay, yeah, fair enough. You can't get, like, the fucking, I don't look how I sound and everything. You can't. It's a joke. She's doing stand-up, right? I mean, there was the whole thing about when she slept with a guy as well. She goes, but yeah, I'm a comedian. Oh, no, you're not going to put me in a joke, are you? And she goes, yeah, because I haven't got other things I can joke about, right? It's got to be about you. I can't chat about fucking, gender inequality and race and sitting on faces and everything. I mean, the bar has been set very low there for the female Richard Pryor, the self-professed queen of comedy. Bar's set very, very low. But then I counted, she actually told 4 stories about sleeping with guys. So it turns out she doesn't actually have a lot to joke about after all.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
She carries on the usual stuff that you expect from a black comedian. White privilege is running when no one is chasing you. I was pleasantly surprised for the first half because it's like there was no gender shit. There was no race shit. And I was like, okay. I mean, it's not good, but it's different. And then she started on the gender shit and the race shit. It wormed its way in there. And you go, all right, they're jokes. But then at the end of it, she said, everything I said in this special is 100% true. So were they jokes?
Or just factual reporting?
Right.
Well, what I thought was funny about that bit with the, like, oh, you mean a joke? Like, yeah, eventually you put him in the joke. And then you make the joke about putting it on Netflix. So, yeah, you did. I mean... You actually did, yeah. Before, just after getting all indignant, that he would assume that you would put him in a joke, which you actually fucking did. So who the bitch here? Who the bitch? This shit kept creeping in, though. There was a guy that she dated who had a black fetish. And, oh, no, that's disgusting, despite the fact that she had sex for shoes. She goes, oh no, reading 50 Shades of Grey is beneath me.
despite the fact that you had sex for shoes, and that's beneath you. And she made the guy that had the 50 Shades of Grey fetish thing. He go, oh, I'm gonna go get the whip now, and a whole thing about a white guy whipping a black girl in bed. We weren't playing 50 Shades of Grey. We were playing 12 Years a Slave. That was quite clever, but that was the automatic thing of going like, oh no, I'm black and there's a white guy. And she actually said, I've never been whipped, but I've carried that on my back for generations. Shut the fuck up, woman.
That was...
Throw a goddamn pie.
I mean, I don't remember if it was in the British version, I mean the original version of Shameless, but in the American one, I thought it was funny, the funnier race play jokes between Kev and what's his woman's name? Well, like they were actually making like Thomas Jefferson and what's her name jokes.
Why would we have that in the British version?
I don't know. I don't remember. I didn't watch the British version nearly as much. I started off with the American version and then went to the British version. I hadn't got that far in the series yet.
Because if there's anything missing from British history, it's Thomas Jefferson.
See? I mean, you could put it in, but no one would understand it.
I imagine there's some British equivalent to a white guy and a black chick. I mean, you guys have how many centuries of history? Come on.
Oh, enough. Too many.
But yeah, I mean, those jokes were funnier, and that wasn't stand-up. That was scripted television. But no, my biggest thing is going back to Tom Segura and what he was talking about with comedians and dance moves. You know, for him, it was putting stuff into the bits that weren't really moving the bit forward. It was just fluff material, time filling material.
Yeah,
to stretch out the set. Whereas with this chick and with Leslie Jones previously, it's literally dance moves as the dance moves. I mean, if you cut out all the dancing, we're probably looking at 45 tops.
Yeah, I mean, if same with this, isn't it? Like the amount of repetition she had on her punchlines. I mean, don't get me wrong, reinforce them, but that was over reinforcing them. And there were genuinely funny ones where she's going like about she met Prince Philip and she's like, oh, he's rich, I want to suck his dick, knight me, your majesty. And she does this whole miming with the microphone, well, not miming, but pretending with the microphone that she's getting knighted with his peen. And that was like, visually, that's pretty funny, but it went on for far too long. Yep. Just like every punchline she did, you go like, oh, sitting on people's faces, sitting on faces, sitting on faces, sitting on faces. Okay, that's absolutely fine. But don't fucking repeat yourself so much. So how much do you think, it was an hour-long special, but how much actual content do you think there was in that? If you take out the repetition.
Taking out all the repetition and the dance moves, like I said, I'd probably maybe 40.
I'd say 40.
Half hour to 40, I'd agree, yeah.
40, maybe 45 at a stretch.
I mean, this would have been like a Comedy Central premium blend special back in like the late 90s, early 2000s if you cut out all that other shit. This would have been a half hour, 45 tops.
And I mean, I've seen, like, I absolutely love stand-up, especially, I mean, because I've gone to comedy clubs and shit like that, and you've not seen stand-up until you've seen a comedian bomb. And you cringe with them. And that never really leaves you. So this was very, very cringe-inducing for me. Now, a lot of comedians, some of them, a lot of them do the whole story technique. You go out there and you spin a yarn from start to finish. You embellish on things, and then you call back right at the end and everything. There's a science to telling a story in such a way.
That's Mike Birbiglia. Yeah, he does it like that.
Yeah, but then there's also people like, is it Milton Jones and Tim Vine, who just go out with one-liners. Tim Vine is actually the world record holder for most jokes told in a minute. Because it's just things like Velcro. What a rip-off.
Okay, gotcha.
I had one of those once in a lifetime holidays. Never again. Like, he's fucking brilliant. Milton Jones has got things like, I wondered why the ball was getting bigger, then it hit me. It's really simple stuff, but also really clever. It takes you a minute and you go, oh my God, that was fucking hilarious. Now, she's a storyteller. It was all very, very sexual stuff. She was trying to be, I suppose, a female edgelord in that respect. But a couple of them really stood out to me. It was, one of them right at the end. It was, she met a guy in a shopping center. He said he's an investment banker. And she went, oh, that sounds like he makes money. Take my number. Finishes up the story when he says, you're too much. And she's like, I'm too much? You know, if he says you're too much, then maybe he's not enough. Despite the fact that she gave him her number because his job sounded like he got paid a lot.
Well, it kind of reminds me of a joke from Jim Jeffries before he stopped being funny when he went to Comedy Central.
When he sobered up.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's when he got his show on Comedy Central is when he really stopped being funny, or maybe it was the show he had on FX. I think that may have been the start of his decline for me. But he had a joke about the difference between being a stud and a slut. You know, to be a stud, you have to have, you got to be good looking. You got to have, nice clothes, nice house, nice car, good, nice shoes, and a fake job. To be a slut, you just have to be there.
Mm-hmm. See,
literally, all she did was hand this dude her number. All she had to do was just be there.
He thought of that and he sat down and he wrote it and he rewrote it and he rewrote it. So it's not like he just thought of it and went, oh, that'd be funny. He would have sat there and he would have perfected that word wise. So is it too long? Is it too short? How do I keep the audience hanging? What's the biggest part of the joke? The final word. How long should the pause be in between? You just have to be and there. That's the true mastery. That is engineering a joke. She comes out and just goes, bit of fucking gender reaffirming stuff, a bit of fucking racial stuff, and just repeat sitting on faces quite a lot. It was a god-awful experience, and just goes to show that not everyone who's funny can do stand-up. I'm sure all of her friends went, yeah, fucking, you should do stand-up. All right, I bloody will then. She should have stopped the moment she fucking realized that she's terrible at it. Why the hell does she get a Netflix special?
What I thought was funny...
I'll give you 2 reasons why. Black and woman.
What I thought was funny was when she's doing that whole bit about getting started doing stand-up and like, oh, you're so funny. You should go to Edinburgh. You should go to... And she didn't know why they were telling her to go to Edinburgh. It's like, I'm a fucking American and I know.
As a comedian, she doesn't know about the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. Probably like one of the biggest comedy festival in the UK. You know, if you go there and you win the top award for that, that's your career taking off right there, you know?
That would be like, like we have, Canadian friends. That'd be like one of them, getting started in stand-up and like getting offended that everyone's telling me, oh, you should go to Montreal. You should go to Montreal. You should go to the Just for Laughs festival. Yeah.
And what does she say in respect to that? You should go to Edinburgh. Fucking racist. What's racist about saying you should go to Edinburgh?
It was a hate crime. Yeah.
My God. And that was just another one of those things, if you haven't got a fucking punchline, then just play the race card.
Yeah, it's not like they were saying, hey, you should go to David Duke's house. Like, she just automatically assumes that they're like, oh, well, what the hell did they tell me to do this for?
Well, yeah, I mean, she automatically assumes it's them saying, you should fuck off. Because secretly, that deep down, she knows she's not funny. The self-professed queen of comedy, the female Richard Pryor, and the amount of times she said, I'm perfect, as well. Like, I mean... When Ricky Gervais says shit like that, it is very, very tongue-in-cheek, and it is cringe-inducing because that's what he's best at. Whereas she actually believed it. Because like Ricky Gervais comes out, he is a short, fat guy. And he's like, oh, lucky you guys, you get to see this, That's funny in that respect because it's a juxtaposition. He knows he's a short, fat guy. But she like genuinely thinks she is perfect. And that's just smug. That's never funny. Well, unless it's on Zap Brannigan, maybe.
Well, now that we have our initial thoughts out of the way, we do like to play a little game here. Not a very long one, but we just do a nice little Price is Right.
Everyone's doing fucking games, aren't they?
we do a little Price is Right here with the ratings of these specials.
Okay.
And this one's going to be even shorter because there is no tomato meter on this one. There's no critics' reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. It's just an audience score.
Well, let's just assume they would give it 100%, and I'll give you 2 reasons why.
Well, you, sir, you would not get the prize with Bob Barker because the audience score, if you're saying 100, is 40.
No, I'm saying the critics.
Oh, okay.
Because we all know about the disparity between the audience ratings and the critics ratings.
Well, I just gave away the Rotten Tomatoes one, so I'll pull one other one up. I got IMDb here. Drunken, if you had to guess on a scale of 1 to 10 what the user reviews are on IMDb for London Hughes to catch a dick, what would you guess?
Are we doing decimals as well?
Decimals as well, yes. If you had to guess without going over.
1.4.
All right. Johnny, what about you?
3.3.
The user reviews are 4.6.
Fuck off!
I have a hard time believing that too, but that's only because I've actually read the reviews that they have listed.
give me a positive review. Give me one of the highest reviews. Read it out to us.
The highest review on IMDb, 10 out of 10 from Christmas Day.
Fuck that guy.
Christmas Day. This must have been like some cancer kid's dying wish or something. I have no idea. So relatable. Exactly. Yeah. I'm not saying this cancer kid had very high aspirations.
No.
So relatable is the title. Hughes is hilarious, and I couldn't stop laughing the entire time. She is so right about the double standard between men and women. I can't wait for a future when it's normal to, quote, sit on face. That's the highest review.
Was that it? That was the whole review?
That was the whole review. Couldn't stop laughing the entire time. Double standards suck. I can't wait for a future where it's normal to sit on face.
Mind you, the review is actually funnier than the whole special.
Well, I mean, the 1-star reviews are absolutely more hilarious than the whole special.
Oh, let's have it. Let's have it.
Okay, let's see here. Number 1 top review on IMDb had volume on lowest setting. I don't get why she had to be so loud. So loud. Loud may be an understatement. She's shouting. You almost feel like she's yelling at you, just like a mom would if you had way too many candies. True. Honest review. This is the next one down. Honestly, even 1 star is way too many for this. This special was so bad. I don't get who told these people this was funny or even a good idea to put out. Lol. She also ruined the David Spade show. Not every interaction has to have you yelling over it and making it about you. Please go back to British TV. They're banishing her back to the British Isles.
No, she's your problem now.
Yeah, fair enough.
This is why we've been wanting to close the borders, not because of COVID, because of this bitch.
She can go back to doing live porn shows.
She hosted the live porn show.
That was the funniest part for me, was hearing Drunken chuckle when she mentioned that her first job was presenting on Babe Station.
Yeah, because I remember Babe Station. Oh yeah, okay.
That's when I was like, oh yeah, he definitely knows what that is.
Let's see here.
That must be a British thing, or is that just regional for?
I don't even know if it's still on anymore, because like Pornhub came in and just kind of like screwed everything over. Now there's free porn on the internet. But with Babe Station, it was one of those where you'd have people there. So I've heard. Women there, scantily clad, and you could call them on your phone at a premium rate and actually talk to them.
Yeah, we had 900 numbers back in the day too.
This is a whole channel, and yeah, it would come on late at night. And I mean, I think I was a teenager when it first started, so everyone knew about Babe Station at that point.
But here's another one. Absolute garbage, 1 out of 10. Could not bear it after 15 minutes, and I had to log in here and post. In the name of freedom of speech / expression, this filth is served. Tui, Netflix. God. Waste of time, over the top, hamming, loud, and obnoxious. That should be the title. She cusses continuously, making crazy faces and loud, lewd gestures, but the content and quality does not even make up for all the bad acting or poor writing. Makes me strike this one out as no follow or try to watch ever.
It is true. I mean, I think the word crass is the word I want to use, because she's being very, very graphic with the shit she says, which is absolutely fine. If you remember Jim Jeffries' thing about when he put one of those love eggs up his ass and it got stuck.
Yep.
And that was an incredibly graphic story. But again, he's got the ability to spin the yarn. I think because he's a professional, and the professionals have this like a joke, JPM, jokes per minute. And it has to be like that because you're trying to hold the audience. So you have like several little ones And then within 5 minutes, you have a big one. So you're going for the little laughs, and then you're going for the big laugh right at the end. And that story is masterful how he tells it, because it finishes with, followed by 8 feet of shit. And it's just, it's so fucking disgusting. But the way he tells it is where the comedy is. Not the story itself, but the delivery. I don't think this girl gets that. She's just going out there going, if I just say disgusting things, people will laugh along. But no, it's not. You have to deliver it in such a way. You tell the story.
Yeah, going on with that Jeffries bit, he's like, followed by 8 feet of shit, and he tags it again. He's like, and that's when I realized probably should have done this in the bathroom.
Right.
But yeah,
that's the difference. And that's the difference. A professional. She, as she said in this stand-up, she just went, "Oh, one day I just decided I want to do television." So it wasn't like, I discovered that, I was, very good at holding an audience, or had the showmanship, or was able to make people laugh very easily. It was just, no, I wanted to do it. So I genuinely think in her mind, she's going, if I just get up there and just say disgusting shit, then people are going to laugh. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people did. But for the concerning comedy fan,
Well, I would go a step further, actually, because this was apparently filmed, if I'm not mistaken, in October in Los Angeles. So they had been locked down for like 7 months. This was probably the first chance they got to go out. This was filmed outside. If you actually watch the special, when she comes out on stage, you can see the palm trees back behind the stage in one of the shots. So they filmed this outside, socially distanced. Everyone's wearing masks. You could actually see the audience from time to time, which was I thought was actually kind of refreshing, because a lot of these specials we've been watching, you get no shots of the audience, no facial shots at all. At best, you're seeing like the back of some people's heads from some of the angles.
Which is rare, isn't it? Because even every special cuts to someone losing their shit in the audience at one point.
Usually, yeah, and that's what I've noticed since we started doing this whole series of watching these Netflix specials. They're starting to move away from that, at least with these female comics, because I'm willing to bet you that there's a lot of canned laughter in a bunch of these, because there's no way that people are laughing. And this one at least didn't have the clapture like Hannah Gadsby's did. You actually heard laughter, not clapping.
Yeah,
which I thought was kind of a step in the right direction. Again, highly repetitive. Just she seems to think that making it louder makes it funnier. But yeah, I noticed that watching this, like, okay, they're actually showing the audience from time to time, and you're not hearing clapping. So okay, cool. But it was just one of those things, like, how is this supposed to be funny to people? And are these people actually sitting there laughing, or is this a dubbed in laugh track?
Yeah,
they're all wearing masks, so you couldn't see them laughing anyway.
I think there definitely was. You're probably getting eliciting a couple of giggles and everything, but certainly not the laughs that you were getting. And you would see people fucking laughing, and you'd hear see the applause and shit like that, because that's what they do. It makes you, someone who sat at home, relate to the audience and the experience that they're having. Then it's like having the commentary over football or some shit like that. It puts you there, even though when you are there, you don't get the commentary. You're just experiencing the sport. When you are in the audience, you don't get cutaways to other people laughing their asses off. Mm-hmm. It's to make you feel as though you are a part of the audience. There's no other reason for it. Makes it more funny. You go, oh, these guys are laughing their asses off. That's why we have laughter tracks. It's almost to prompt you. This is where you laugh now, because everyone else is. We like to be part of the group. That's why it's there. I would love to hear it without the fucking laugh, because there definitely was a laughter track dubbed over there, without a shadow of a doubt. But as that first person said, though, in the reviews, so relatable. Oh yeah, there is a double standard with oral sex on females than there is to males. Okay, brilliant. In which case, that wasn't a joke. That was just a philosophical point.
Yeah, well,
there's nothing actually funny about that, is there? If you just sat there going, "It's true," then you're not laughing, are you? You're just nodding.
Well, the whole thing about like seeing like movies or whatever, where guys driving down like a dirt road, and all of a sudden a woman's head just pops up out of his lap. Like you don't ever see a woman just driving along, and all of a sudden a man, like, yeah, there's probably a reason for that if you think about it for more than 2 seconds.
I mean, there was. I think there was about 4 times when I did genuinely go, ha. So it wasn't completely. It wasn't all a miss. There were little points, but the bits that I laughed at weren't actually the punchlines of the goddamn jokes.
Generally not. No. But yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, she was talking about that the one guy, just didn't go down on her right. It's like. And that's where I was kind of thinking, like, back then she was like, well, did it smell like a small barnyard animal? Because that might have something to do with it.
I mean, I've done the same thing, though. I remember on Twitch, I was just playing a game and I was telling a story about the worst blowjob I ever got. Because the girl had, like, for some reason, she was just one tooth. And she would really go at it as well. I'm just like, whoa, slow the fuck down. I had to actually pull her hair back to stop her from fucking just getting the fuck in there. Because there was this one tooth that was just rubbing up and down on my shaft. And I'm like, oh, for God's sake. But then I'm sort of thinking, like, how do I tell her about that? So in the end, for Christmas, I got her a mouth guard. See, that one even... I was just telling a story on that. That one even a goddamn joke, right?
Exactly.
But at the end of it, as she said, all these stories were 100% true, as she said, Like, that somehow makes it funnier. If anything, it shows us that you put no effort into writing this. There were no punchlines or anything. You just got up and told some stories that you thought were disgusting enough to elicit a titter.
Let's see. What else we got here on the IMDb? A lot of 1 stars here. There's only 12 reviews, and aside from
oh my god,
we got 1.8, we got 1.5, we got 1.10, we got 1.2, and the rest are all 1s.
Good, yeah, she deserves that.
Tried hard to laugh, but couldn't. My wife is black, and we both struggle to find anything funny with this material. I suspect she won't last long in this game. Comedy needs to capture more than just a few friends.
Very true. Very well said.
Awful. Turned it off after 25 minutes. Not funny at all. London is loud, annoying, and I don't know what Gurns means.
Oh, does weird shit with her mouth. Gurns is like when you've taken too much of a drug and your bottom jaw starts jutting out.
Okay, gotcha. I can only assume Kevin Hart pulled some strings and got her the Netflix gig. I have no idea how she pulled it off otherwise. The fake audience laughter really doesn't help, and no one likes someone who constantly tells you they are brilliant and beautiful. I'm sure she's lovely off screen, but on screen she's not pleasant or funny to watch. Yeah, that's right, folks. Kevin Hart actually introduces her in the beginning of this off stage. And she made a couple different references to him. She did her impression of Kevin Hart, which was actually, I would say, probably spot on. I'm not a Kevin Hart fan either. I don't find him particularly funny, but he's also one of those energetic type comedians.
Yeah, I mean he's made it very big of being in movies and everything as well, hasn't he? But his stand-up isn't. It used to be quite good because it was punchline after punchline after punchline. Couple of jokes, couple of stories, and everything. I think Chappelle's probably better because his jokes per minute, his scale is a lot higher. And Chris Rock, a lot of people have always rated Chris Rock, but Chris Rock goes for about 10 minutes without a single punchline. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that. Don't get the stuff that he says, like the whole bullets should cost more than guns and shit like that. Brilliant. And you go, shit, yeah, it is true. But that's not actually a punchline, is it? That's more, again, philosophy. And you do need an element of that in there as well. If you look at, like, the likes of Bill Hicks and George Carlin and everything, you need a bit of that. But it can't all be that with just a joke stapled on the end. Otherwise, it becomes preaching and not making people laugh.
Yeah, and as much as I love Bill Hicks, I mean, I even took the name Hate Camel for one of his bits. He did get into that a bit too, where he'd get a little too preachy in some parts. And yeah, but at least there was jokes peppered in there.
Yeah.
And if he was trying to push forward some philosophical point, he had punchlines to back it up.
That's the main thing. You can't just get out there. I mean, if you're going to be relatable, you've got to be relatable in a funny way. People going, oh my God, that's so true. I've never noticed that before. Instead of just sagely nodding along. No, they are right. Yeah, it should be the same. There is inequality here. That's not a joke. That's just getting up and making a point. Save that for the town hall.
I think what got me most of all was her closing bit. You know, talking about the investment banker junkie.
Yeah.
There was nothing in her closer that actually made you like want to stand up and laugh, clap, nothing.
Yeah.
Like you didn't even know it was over until she's like, I'm letting you. Just falls
the closing
over.
part is the prestige, isn't it? That's when you want the standing ovation. You want people to scream their tits off as you walk off, and you want them to want you to come back on for an encore. Whereas I'm speaking for you guys here, but I'm pretty sure we were all just glad it was over.
Yeah. But yeah, like speaking of the prestige, wanting them, having them want you to come back on for an encore. That reminds me of like Ed Byrne with the Pedantic and Whimsical. He did a solid hour's worth of material. It was pretty funny, which was back the early to mid 2000s. And then he gets off stage and he comes back on, to do a bit, to do an encore. And it was it was his Alanis Morissette ironic bit,
That's
and
where
it
you
was
have
funny.
That all comes down to structure, you see. You got at the very beginning, you have a punchline which is designed to floor. That's one of your, that's your big five. That's the big laugh, right?
In fact,
and then right at the end, you do a callback to that punchline at the beginning. That's what gets the audience on their feet and clapping their asses off as you walk off. You've been great. Thank you. Good night. Woo! And then you walk back on again and they're like, praise the Lord. And if you're like Lee Evans, then you mime out the lyrics to fucking Bohemian Rhapsody or some shit like that, and you absolutely fucking nail it.
Well, it's like,
but thank fuck this bitch didn't have it. If she had an encore, I'd be like, right, guys, I can't do this stream. I gotta go. Fuck.
Well, it's
but no,
if you take like Chappelle's when he was talking about when he met OJ. If I don't remember which one it is, I think it's.
Was that Sticks and Stones, or was that?
It was the one before that.
Equanimity,
yeah,
or whatever.
One of those two. And he goes through the first 3 times he met OJ, and then he ends the show, and then he comes back and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, this is the 4th time I met OJ." So that was kind of his encore.
Mm-hmm.
So. When you saw him leave, people were like, oh, and then as soon as he came back, people were like, oh shit, is there going to be more? Like, what's going on here?
And then you've got a standalone joke of, even before he tells the story, let me tell you about the 4th time I met OJ.
Well, I mean, not only that, but like Chappelle, I think we would all agree, like he's the head and shoulders top stand-up comedian right now, because it was either that one or Sticks and Stones. I can't remember which one, because it was like a double that came out, where he tells you the punchline to the joke and then tells the joke, and you still laugh at the punchline because you weren't expecting it to hit when it does.
Well, he's experimenting. He's a master of his craft. And there are so many masters of comedy out there, but for very different reasons. If you look at like Lee Evans, he is he's like the British Jim Carrey. He's got a face made out of rubber. And he always does something at the punchline of his joke where he pulls a funny face doing an impression of the person who said whatever it was. You know what I mean? And he's so full of energy. He's running around the stage. But my God, have you ever seen a man sweat through a 3-piece suit? This guy is fucking moist to the end. It is absolutely insane. You can see it going down his back and everything because he's jumping around, even at however fucking old he is now. That's his shtick. Michael McIntyre, very different. Very energetic again, but also like in a very different way. He's got like energetic way of telling these stories. You look at Chappelle, he's very laid back, very calm with it. And because of that, he's a master of it. He can fuck around, he can experiment, tell the punchline first, and then tell the lead up. And it's still fucking hilarious. He's not afraid to try new things because he knows what he's doing. And now we're quiet.
Well, no, like you raised some very good points there about the different styles of these comedians and how they work. But just seeing this, I was like, okay, how, why, what's going on at Netflix where somebody is greenlighting this, giving this person money for this? I don't know how much. I don't think anybody outside of like her agent and the person who signed the deal at Netflix knows. Probably never
Kevin
will.
Hart.
Oh, Kevin Hart, yeah.
Kevin Hart put his name to it. That's undoubtedly what did it. But the whole point of like your gimmick or your character when you're on stage is just it can't be fake. It's just you amplified. So Jack D, generally seen as a miserable guy, he amplifies that to be incredibly miserable on stage. Lee Evans, an energetic guy, he amplifies that. Whereas London Hughes just amplified her voice.
And Louis C.K. Also, he does.
Oh, she did take a dig at Louis in that special too about the whole.
Did she?
Yeah. Well, when she was talking about the junkie, the investment banker, after he I guess got his fix and was back to normal, like he was still trying to slip her the D, and she said that he was wanking on her leg just like Louis C.K. in a green room.
Oh, okay, yeah, I missed that bit.
Yeah, I missed that too.
I mean, it must be. I couldn't hear it from the sound of my eyes rolling.
But I was like, yeah, the difference is like, at least Louis can make a joke about him, jerking off funny.
Oh, Louis incredibly self-deprecating in what he says.
Yeah. Well, but
you have to have a style. Talking about, Amy Schumer-wise, just talking about your vagina constantly is not a style. London Hughes being loud and talking about sitting on people's faces is not a style. She's going on about how fucking women want to sleep with male comics and they can be like, tiny little fat men. But if a guy's funny, then these supermodel type women want to sleep with them. Yes, because that they are actually fucking funny. They know what they're doing. They get up and they act with charisma. You have to be charismatic. Even Jack D, who amplifies this fucking miserable shit, is still incredibly charismatic. You hang on his every word. You paid to see him. With this Netflix special, no one paid. They were given tickets.
I'm willing to bet, yeah. Because
that's how that shit goes.
Well, since we've pretty well talked this one off the rails, I don't think there's much more we could say about her without getting as repetitive as she was. I'm just curious. You brought up some names I hadn't heard of, like Jack D. What other comedians did you grow up listening to that maybe us Americans haven't heard of, that haven't?
Jack D was one of my favorites because he wasn't in your face. He was just more complainy. But he's complaining about things that, you're just like, it is one of those, oh my God, it's so true. Not like, oh no, he's completely right. That's a very good point there, sir. He still made you laugh. Peter Kay was one of the brilliant ones. That guy, incredibly relatable with the shit he was saying. And that was just everyday relatable shit. Like when your mum's fucking wake you up in the morning and you're still not out of bed. And she's there downstairs going, I can't hear you moving around. So you just take your foot out of your bed and start hitting it on the floor. Like, fucking hear that then, you bitch, Like, easy shit. Peter Kay was a fucking brilliant one. These are, of course, all British ones. As I said, Lee Enfield. Even kids love him because he just bounces around. So fucking funny. There's a wealth of British comedians out there that you just have to check out. There's a lot of up-and-comers as well. Joe Wilkinson makes me fucking cackle. He's just incredibly, incredibly strange. Greg Davis, the giant in more ways than one. If you just go for UK comedians, give them a watch. If it's a big enough name, you'll absolutely fucking love them. And it's not always necessarily shit that is just fucking British humor or anything either. Michael McIntyre tells such long stories that in the end wind up with a joke that he told at the beginning of the hour. And of course, none of it's fucking true. It's all made for the purpose of the joke. But again, it's the delivery. It's how you tell the story.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, since we talk about the delivery versus it being true, going back to it's all 100% true. It's like, why?
That doesn't make it funny though.
Well, no, it's like was it Joe Rogan? He was saying, like, I'm telling jokes up here. It's like, this is not saying, this is not like a court deposition. Like I'm
Yeah.
not under oath. I'm going to tell you stuff that I maybe don't even believe to make you laugh. That's the whole
Of
point.
course. That is the whole point. And she says right at the end of this is 100% true, as if that makes it somehow more funny. But then you look at Michael McIntyre, who tells these wild stories that sound plausible, but clearly fucking aren't. And you don't care. Because it's still fucking funny. It's in the delivery, and the punchline is still definitely there. Saying at the end of a joke, true story, doesn't make anyone laugh. And your job here, London, is to make people laugh. You failed.
I knew this was going to be bad as I looked her up on Wikipedia. I just typed it into the search engine, London Hughes, and it brought up her Wikipedia page. I was like, oh god, that name, it's a long name. That's yeah. And she explains the name in the special, folks. Why her name is so long, and it may be 100% true, but it's not fucking funny.
It's not fucking funny. There are people who can get up on stage and just read the phone book.
Yeah,
and those are just brilliant. But then there are also others that try really, really hard, and those are brilliant as well, just for very different reasons. She was not good in any sense of the word. Richo in the chat says Al Murray was good. The pub landlord. Oh my god! But that's quintessential British humor there, guys. If you watch The Pub Landlord, you ain't gonna get it. You might laugh at his delivery. You'll get the spirit of it, but the punchlines aren't going to be there.
Like even with the subtitles and everything.
Oh yeah, he's the landlord of a pub, and it's very old-fashioned sexist humor. Like it is a pint of ale for the man and a fruit-based drink for the lady. Every time he'll talk to the audience and he'll say, oh, and what do you do for a living, to a woman, and she'll say this job title, and he goes, right, yeah, secretary. Okay. Because all the women have jobs as secretaries, you understand? It's good. He wouldn't get away with it now. I think he dropped the pub landlord gimmick, which was a shame. But you can understand why.
Yeah. And Richo was right, further from the chat, so the left ruined comedy. Yeah. I mean, There are still good comedians out there still doing good work. Like I've mentioned Tom Segura a few times during these things because of his quote unquote dance moves. Talking about comedians with their filler, but he's one of those storytellers where it's hilarious too.
Well, I mean, most comedians you'll find do seem to be left leaning, not hard left, but even the likes of Frankie Boyle, who is. Good God, he's fucking hilarious. I mean, this is the guy who said he was talking about fucking pedophile was arrested, and there was a picture of him on the news, and he looked exactly how you'd want to look, how you'd think he looks. The fucking big glasses, lots of stubble, long greasy hair. He goes, "What is it about that look that kids find so sexy?"
Yeah, I've heard that one.
He is a staunch liberal, though. So I think it's not so much the left ruined comedy, but it's leftist politics ruined comedy. The moment the comedians started making jokes about politicians and shit, not only does it put a timer on how relevant your comedy is. You look at the greats, Hicks, Carling, and everything. Yeah, all right, they did talk about certain politicians, but you didn't have a whole fucking act that was based on it. I watched Patton Oswalt, his stand-up. I'm like, all right, okay, I know this guy. Let's give it a go. The first 20 minutes were just all Trump jokes, which gets very fucking old after a while, especially in the last 4 years, because everything has just been Trump jokes. You can't fucking... he's got tiny hands, orange face. That's all it fucking was. Tiny hands, orange face, from a professional goddamn comedian for 20 fucking minutes. Not only was that unfunny, but that's not going to withstand the test of time, because there's going to be a time when people just go, why the fuck is he talking about Trump so much? That was years ago. You have to find relevancy in everything you say. And sure, what he was saying then might have been relevant at the time, but it's not going to be relevant in 10 years.
I mean, yeah, like with Hicks and Carlin, I mean, you look at them now, especially, and you can see that they're both, at the very least, left-leaning. I mean, Hicks was definitely more liberal than anything. But they would also go after both sides. And I know, the both sidesism and whatnot, but I mean, there's plenty of material to be mined on the left and the right. I mean, he was, Hicks was talking about, Bush Pappy Bush, and then he went on talking about Clinton.
The same with Carlin.
I mean, yeah, Carlin, he was talking about it's a big club and you ain't fucking in it, and political correctness. Was he the one that coined political correctness is just fascism with manners, or is that somebody else that just gets attributed to him? But I mean, he had a whole bit about political correctness and shell shock and whatnot. That cut both sides.
I mean, political correctness, even now, still very relevant because that shit's not going anywhere. And as I said, yeah, he didn't. It's not like he didn't make jokes about certain political figures, but the whole show didn't hinge on that. And I think that's the difference there.
I mean,
there are right-wing comedians, but I mean, like you look at Tim Allen, for instance, he is a conservative, but how much stand-up does he actually do?
I don't know how much stand-up he has done. I mean, since he got on Home Improvement back in the 90s and started doing movies and stuff, I don't know if he did a whole lot of stand-up after that. I remember hearing secondhand stories from like the Joe Rogan podcast where like he would try and go work on bits and he just got out of touch because he was joking about like his expensive ass sports car or whatever breaking down. It's like, yeah, your general audience on a Tuesday night at the comedy club probably doesn't own a Lamborghini, Tim.
Yeah, they cannot relate, buddy. You look at what's his Ken Jeong of The Hangover and Comedian fame.
That Dr. Ken. We watched one of his specials too.
Was it You Complete Me, Ho, or something like that?
Yeah,
I Love You, Ho. And that was just nothing but name dropping from start to finish. I don't think he told an actual joke in that.
Well, and if they back in the Kings of Comedy day when it was they had Steve Harvey, D.L. Hewley,
Bernie Mac, and Cedric the Entertainer. Yeah. I got that DVD somewhere.
When those groups started, then they had like the Latino Kings of Comedy and all this stuff coming out. Well, I think it was Steve Byrne, Bobby Lee, Ken Jeong, and fourth guy I don't quite remember had called the Kims of Comedy. And when Ken Jeong did his spot, a majority of those jokes were in You Complete Me, Ho.
There were jokes in that?
Yeah.
I completely missed them.
But yeah,
it was a majority of that one, and a lot of swearing.
Oh yeah,
is all I took away from that.
A majority of that was pretty much like, look who I know.
Yeah,
I got to meet Obama.
Yeah, and stories from on set of The Hangover. Which, geez, I mean, those movies weren't all that funny either, let alone the stories about them.
I would have loved to have heard more about his time working at Cedars-Sinai than I would have to hear about stories from The Hangover or meeting the president. It's like, what kind of wild shit goes on at a hospital that we're not privy to as the general public? Come on, there's got to be something funny.
That would have been a great show,
Yeah. I mean, that would have been hilarious, I mean, just like a little Asian Dr. House or something.
You see, I'm already laughing at that. That would have been brilliant.
Yeah. But we've been going on for a while. I figure maybe we open up to the chat for a little bit, see if they got any questions for you, Drunkle, and then we can go ahead and get on out of here because the time difference is a killer. Like it's almost like 11:30 your time now.
It is 11:30 my time now.
I did show your Streamlabs. Did you happen to get anything?
Oh, bless you.
Yes, folks. Streamlabs for Drunkle is in the description. So if you want to throw him a quid, whatever that is, do it now.
You know what a quid is.
I'm still a little fuzzy on that.
It's like a buck. What is it people don't understand about this? It's just the bloody slang name for our currency. What's so difficult to understand?
I was just doing it to wind you up, but Random American is there in the chat to say a quid is about a pound. So,
I mean, it's not about a pound. It is a goddamn pound. There's no about. I'm fucking dealing with you people day in and day out.
Well, hey, man. I mean, you're talking to a couple of Americans. The only thing we use, we use freedom units over here. We don't deal with, the only time we deal with metric is when we're buying ammo and drugs. So
yeah, what's metric got to do with it? 100 cents to $1. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, there's no decimals in there.
Really? Mind you, we did used to have a half penny, so you might be onto something there.
it's like I went to public school, Drunken, so I mean, I can't count higher than fingers and toes. So,
well, public school over here means private school.
So General Patton was correct. We are two people separated by a common language. It
is a very confusing place to live. You can trust me on that. I've been here all my life. I still don't know what the fuck's going on most of the time.
America's switching to metric 1 inch at a time.
Hey.
That's why it's taking so long, Random.
So what about you guys? What comedians did you grow up with?
Well, let's see. Of course, grew up with Pryor, grew up with Carlin, grew up with Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy was one of the first. That Raw was probably the first stand-up special I ever saw, and it was the first. It's definitely the first one I was not supposed to see that I saw, because my mom made the mistake of leaving the VHS out one day, and I scooped it up and took it back to my bedroom, and I laughed my ass off. Even though I was only like 7. I was only like 7, and it was still hilarious to me. Even the jokes I couldn't understand.
What have you done for me lately, Eddie?
Yeah. I didn't know about Johnny Carson losing half his fucking money. I'm like, but that, yeah, Raw was, that was a big one. Also, let's see, John Leguizamo, when he was still a stand-up, he was doing his HBO specials in the 90s. I remember watching those.
And not suffering from the Trump derangement syndrome like he clearly is.
Let's see, some of the other ones that I found Bill Hicks when I was in high school, and that was a mind fuck, because this would have been 2006, I want to say. I was a senior in high school, and a buddy, you just had a copy of just a burned CD with Bill Hicks's Revelations on it. I can't remember which one of his specials it was, but he's sitting there playing it, and I'm like, wow, dude. And I didn't hear them introduce him or anything like that. It was just him talking about himself in like the third person. Well, Bill, why would you say that? Like, my God, man, Bill Engvall really grew some balls here lately, didn't he? Because I mean, it's just that Texas twang.
I think it's always the old ones. Like, even I don't know if it's because we rewatch them now and there's just like more jokes that we understand being older. You're like, oh fuck, that's what that means. That's fucking hilarious. How did I not get that at the age of 7? I'm the fucking same. Growing up, my mum absolutely worshipped a comedian called Billy Connolly. Scottish guy.
Billy Connolly. Oh God, I love that dude.
Even
El
now.
Duce.
Oh my God. Even if you go back to like the fucking his stand up in the 80s where he's wearing these banana shoes and shit, like he's got a bright purple beard, the camera quality shit, and he looks so young, and there's people with fucking mullets in the audience, and it is still goddamn hilarious. Now that is one of the greats who really withstood the test of time. You can watch anything of his from any era, and it's still fucking amazing. Side-splittingly funny.
Yeah, so Hicks, like I said, that was a mindfuck, because after I listened to that disc, I asked my buddies, like, wait, that's not Bill Engvall? He's like, nah, that's Bill Hicks. Like, cool, man. Like, is he touring or anything? He's like, nah, dude, he died in the 90s.
Yeah, he said, yeah.
This is from the 90s? Because he had that bit about, like the war in Iraq. And I thought it was like, new shit. He's like, yeah. He this was 2006. They had the surge going on in Iraq. Everything was blowing up in the news every day. Yeah. And he's like, well, I think you'll see that a war is when 2 armies are fighting. So, really not a war. But yeah, I was like, wait, this was from the night. This is from the Gulf War, like Desert Storm. Oh shit! Wow! Oh my God. Kennison was another big one for me. because him and Dice Clay. My dad had cassette tapes of Kinnison and Dice Clay. And again, that's another one that I absconded with because I was not supposed to listen to that kind of material at such a young age.
Well,
Yeah.
Sam Kinison was kind of hard not to get caught listening to.
I mean, that's one person where like he actually was funny being louder as opposed to London.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the gay necrophiliac joke, I still crack up at that one. But yeah, so those are the ones that I grew up with, and then as I got older, like Bill Burr, that's him and Chappelle.
Yeah.
Him and Chappelle would probably be my top two, like Chappelle first, and then him second.
Bill Burr's my current favorite, number one. If he's on something, I'm watching it.
Yeah. Like I was like, oh wait, he's in the Mandalorian. Okay, I guess I'll check that out. Find someone's password to.
Did you find his the wiki for his character, the Wikipedia?
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't know they had one.
His home planet is Space Boston.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, I first heard about him after like the Philly routine blew up, and that was gold. If you guys have not heard him doing that set in Philly. And if you guys in the chat, after the stream's over, go check that out because it's 12 minutes of comedy gold. He's just ripping everything about Philadelphia. And
see, for me, it's got to be because whenever I speak to someone, if I got someone around for drinks or something, and I mention Bill Burr, they're like, "Who's Bill Burr?" Like, you haven't seen Bill Burr? The one clip that goes on is the one about hitting women.
Oh yes, yeah.
Always the first one.
Like, there's no reason to hit a woman. Like I can think of 9 off the top of my head, like 5 if you wake me up from a drunken stupor. You just don't do it.
It's like we don't ask these questions if someone got bit by a snake. Well, what were you doing? Were you fucking with it? Guy's got a direct link to my funny bone. I fucking love him.
And I'm looking forward to the next season of F is for Family too, because so far that's been just out of the park for me.
It's been brilliant. Yeah, I agree.
and like I've said numerous times, like I grew up poor in Oklahoma, which pretty much puts you like 20 years behind the times, no matter what time it is. So like we just celebrated the turn of the new millennium here, pretty much. But no, so like when I was growing up in the 90s, it would have been like anybody else growing up in the 70s. I'm the reason why my younger sisters had to wear seatbelts. I was the crash test dummy.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah.
I was when they got old enough, I told them like, you should just go ahead and bow down and thank me for every day of your life that you've drawn breath thus far, because I'm the reason why you're here today. But so yeah, like watching F is for Family was like, even though it's set in a time that I did not grow up in, I feel like I was there.
Yeah, I mean, because I was born in the 80s, and even then I don't recall a lot about the 80s, but it's like Frank in this is an amalgamation of everyone's dad throughout time. There's something that's said that you can totally relate with. For me, it's the I'll put you through that fucking wall. Every time he says it, I lose my shit, man. I fucking love it.
I will build a wall and I will put you fucking through it.
Right.
I always thought it was funny in the first season how his wife was always like praising Sam Rockwell's character, and he's just like, he's gonna kill someone. He's like, no one else can fucking see it. What
about you, Johnny? Since we're going through like our list of comedians.
My first one that I wasn't supposed to see was Richard Pryor, and that was the one where he was telling the joke about where he struck a match and he started dancing with it. It's like, what's this? It's Richard Pryor running down the street.
Speaking of Richard Pryor, I was waiting for her because she kept calling herself a female. Richard Pryor was like, so is she gonna light herself on fire as the closing act? You know, just
I would have
just,
enjoyed that.
I would have gave it a standing ovation if she just burst into flames freebasing at the end of it.
Do an encore. Do it again.
And then, I walked out and he dropped a couple of M-bombs and my dad's like,
that was
you're not supposed to watch this. And
that was what live at the Sunset Strip, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that was his closing bit.
And so it was like 11 o'clock at night. I was like 4 hours into sleeping. So, another one was a little bit of Robin Williams.
Oh yeah, that shit's wild. That's I mean, he's very high energy as well. Like Eddie Izzard, I think, has got a little bit of Robin Williams in him there. Like the real quick turnaround, the fucking characters interacting with each other. You cannot be drunk and watch it because you need to be on the edge of your seat and paying attention to this shit. If you go to the bathroom and come back, you've got no chance of finding out what's going on for the rest of the act.
Yeah,
See, I was always more interested in Robin Williams as a comedic actor than I was as a comedian, but I don't go for the high energy guys as much, I guess.
Yeah, and then it kind of went to Carlin, and then when I moved from the town I lived in to the next one, I think Patrice O'Neill was the first one I jumped on after that, and his joke about being lazy, and he's just like, he's like, no, he was talking about holding onto a pop can so he can throw it away, and he goes, not because I'm lazy, because chances are I throw it over some bush, and next thing you know, I'm the Pepsi Cola rapist because I'm lazy.
Oh. So I see Travis Gardner. Yeah. I was looking over the chat to see if they had any questions going on for you or for us. I see Travis Gardner was nice enough to back me up in my claim that Oklahoma is 20 years behind the times.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Montana added another 15.
You've only just got the internet. What was it? It was Hicks, wasn't it? Around the world, they're screaming revolution, revolution, but you guys are screaming evolution.
Yeah.
We want our thumbs.
Yeah. I've been to Tennessee. I can confirm. I think the best part was it wasn't even Tennessee. Tennessee's actually kind of nice. Now, if you ever end up going through like I know Irate Prostate was he jumped into the Discord earlier. And love you, Irate, but I've been through like Montgomery in the middle of the night. I don't ever want to do that shit again. That was a harrowing test of humanity.
An ordeal, you might say.
Yeah. And the best part was like I was taking a bus trip from Oklahoma to Florida. And it's a chartered bus. This guy had a GPS, and he still managed to get fucking lost in the middle of Alabama. I don't know how, I don't know why, but for like a solid hour and a half, I just hear, like in the middle of the night, recalculating. And I'm a committed smoker. I enjoy my nicotine. And they wouldn't let you smoke on the bus. So I had to get creative, and I had to dip my tobacco instead of smoke it. Yeah. It was not a great experience. It kept me from getting the shakes, but I still wanted to kill somebody. And I kept hearing recalculate. I was like, if I hear that shit one more time, so help me God, I'm gonna rip this man's head off. I'm gonna drive the bus myself. We'll get to Florida in record time. But yeah, just showing up in the middle of Montgomery at like 2:00 in the morning, just like three crackheads just automatically surround the bus. Like, hey man, can I hold $1?
Yeah, let me hold $1. Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, this old black crackhead. Hey man, can I hold $1? It's like, I mean, can you wash that bus first? Because I mean, I need something back for this, right? Like, I know you're not just gonna hold on to it and then give it back.
Yeah. Just want to see what it feels like, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then
Never
you go
seen
you go into like the convenience store and they're sitting there with like the bulletproof glass. It's like, oh, we are definitely in the wrong fucking neighborhood.
Oh, it's one of these places, right?
It's like yeah, like where I'm from, like they just got like the shields up for like the the COVID, and those are only like not even a thumbnail thick. But yeah, like they had like full on like bulletproof glass. I was like, ugh. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna smoke me a cigarette and get back on that fucking bus.
Yeah, but cigarette first.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'll risk my life, for some nicotine, but I'm not gonna do it for a Mountain Dew.
Did anyone else's dad put spit and tobacco on mosquito bites? Cannot say.
I think that's a Bogan thing, Cynic. No, we can't say that we've had that happen. Now, my dad, he did have one of those old timey like Old West spittoons. That was interesting.
Oh,
they don't actually make that pa-ting sound when you spit in them.
Shame.
Yeah,
I didn't know them from cartoons. Ding.
No, my mom used to put her cigarettes out in pop cans, and then shuffle them around the table. So you have to play pop can roulette, see if you're drinking tobacco smoke or not.
Why? You fuck your mum for a start.
Oh, that's not as bad. At least if you shake the candy, you can hear the butts. No, my stepdad, he was also a dipper, and he would just have like pop bottles, and he would spit his tobacco juice back into.
Right.
And it would never be like a Mountain Dew or a Sprite or something like that, where you knew just by looking at it, it's like, hey, that's not drinking. It would be like a Dr. Pepper or Coca-Cola, one of those nice dark sodas that if you weren't paying attention.
Hey, it's time to just stick to water, isn't it? Just give up the sodas, man. It ain't safe.
Yeah. Or you could maybe that's the thing. Maybe more women need to have dads who dip, so that way they learn to check their drinks so they don't get roofied when they go to the club.
Ah, now you're talking. You're providing a service.
Modern problems require modern solutions.
There you go. Travis Gardner in the chat says, Drunken, have you ever been to the States? Yes, I've been to North Carolina and Washington. I filmed a documentary over there. Back in my TV days.
Now, see, that is one of the things. Like, if I ever do get to travel internationally, the one place that I was actually like, what, I'd be willing to get on a plane and go to was the UK. And you go see, obviously, the tourist attractions in London and whatnot, but go see Stonehenge and all that other shit as well.
Yeah, it's just rocks, isn't it?
True. But
it's not even a henge, technically.
Hey, Johnny Bonsaco, how's it going? So, the documentary, what was that about? Can you tell us?
I cannot.
Okay, fair enough.
That's as much as you get, man.
I mean, worst thing happens when you ask us. Somebody says no. So.
We did a lot of things over there because it was the department I was working for. We did kids TV as well, so we filmed a couple of episodes of this children's show we were making, and I was also teaching kids how to act a camera. So we brought a load of those with us as well, and a couple of performances were done over there, and the documentary on top of it, and all of which was aired, and yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun. It was the one time I was insured for £1 million.
Oh wow!
Because it was all done under this television company, and it was right after September the 11th as well. So it was very iffy if we could go. We had to have various meetings with the TV company's lawyers and shit like that, and thankfully we were allowed to go. And it was awesome. It was awesome. We did stay in hotels when we were in Washington, but when we were in North Carolina, we stayed with families. So it was the real experience of of actually living in an American neighborhood and shit like that. And we went to a couple of parties and things. And it was awesome. Very, very cool people.
Now, when you say Washington, do you mean D.C. or Washington State?
DC. I saw the White House. Which, I mean, it was the only time I had a gun pointed in my face as well, because we filmed outside Capitol Hill and the FBI building, and all the police were heavily armed because of the terrorist attack that just happened. So we had permission and everything to film. It was all above board, but I guess these guys didn't know about it. Came over, pointed this fucking fully automatic rifle at me, and asked what we were doing, and I went,
Yeah, I went to Washington D.C. Summer 2002, so they still had all that stuff going on as well. And my only regret was that I didn't get to go into the Smithsonian because I was too young. Apparently, you got to be like 18 to go in there.
We went there. Went to the Air and Space Museum as well. Did all the shit, and for one like African museum, and that was just terrible. Everyone was falling asleep.
No, not the. I don't think it was a. I think it was Library of Congress. I'm thinking of, not Smithsonian. But yeah, it was a good time. I got to see like my first like real live homeless person. And
nice.
Yeah. Like my mom didn't appreciate me wanting to poke him with a stick just to make sure he wasn't dead, because like as soon as we came out of the subway station, to ground level, he's just laying right there, just an old black dude just curled up. I was like, should we check on him? Like, no, just leave him. I was like, are you sure? Because what if he's dead?
People, if you poke him with a stick, then people will know you're a tourist.
Yeah, maybe my mom, had some foresight in that. Like, if you poke with a stick, they'll know you're a tourist, and we'll get rolled immediately. Let's go.
Yeah, right. I got to see the Lincoln Memorial as well. That was very, very cool. The Vietnam War Memorial, that was a very, very solemn affair.
Yeah. The one that got me, aside from the Vietnam one, was the changing the guard of the unknown soldier.
Yeah.
Going to the Tomb of the Unknowns, and I've got it on tape somewhere because we took the camcorder with us, and I just have to find it. But the guard, they're doing the changing the guard, and people are sitting there talking and whatnot. And again, this is 2002. We're still getting over the terrorist attacks. It's still fresh in everybody's minds. And these people are talking. And all of a sudden, the guard, he just turns on a dime, with those, taps on his shoes and everything. And, just barks as the loudest I've ever heard a person without screaming talk. And he just, please remain silent for the change in the guard. And like, these people shut the fuck up quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Authority, man.
Yeah, like I said, that's the loudest I've ever heard someone talk. And you can hear
there was, because DC obviously a very busy place. Go to the Vietnam Memorial, and somehow, I don't know how, but everything is just quiet there.
Oh yeah,
because it's not all that far away from big busy main roads and like major spots for tourism, but it was like even there didn't even seem to be any birds singing or anything. It was just quiet. It was eerie. It was a very, very sad affair. And there was people there fucking crying next to the names of their loved ones and shit like that. And that affected me for the rest of the day. That was a very sobering thing to experience.
Yeah. We found a cousin's name on the wall, and then we went to the unknowns, and like I said, after that guard piped up, you could hear a pin drop until we got back to, I think, the Jefferson Memorial. Nobody was talking.
We allowed to talk now?
No, I've never been to any of those, but we do have a federal bank here in town. And a friend of mine and I.
Oh, cool! So you've been to a bank, yeah? Nice, cool story, man.
Well, no, these ones are they have armed guards who wander the yard, and it's gated off and everything. And a friend of mine were walking, and he threw his keys at me, and they went over this fence. And I just kind of look over. I'm like, you just say goodbye to your keys, man, because they're not going to let us go on there. And he's like, yeah, it'll be fine. He just leaned over the fence to to grab the keys, and like three guards came out, like guns drawn, just ready for him to. He's like, "Go ahead, take that step over that fence."
Oh, of course, man. They've seen Die Hard 3. They know what's up. They ain't playing around.
And of course, this is also post 9/11, so it's we got some.
Yeah, it was scary times. Scary times for all.
Yeah. Just
speaking of time, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to.
I was just about to say that it is getting pretty late where you're at. So we do appreciate your time coming and hanging out with us and the people in chat. We do apologize again for having you watch that.
Yeah, never again. Never again.
We'll just go ahead and take you off the list for return guests. But we do appreciate your time, man, and thank you for coming out.
Just going to go ahead and add you to my list of people I must exact revenge upon.
Well, I mean, you know what? It's par for the course because Polly still hasn't forgiven us either. We got him in on one of these a couple months ago. But if anybody in the chat wants to donate a quid, again, whatever that is, to Drunken, do it now because he's got to go. It's almost midnight his time, and he's got an actual job to go do. So
yeah, I got a stream to do now.
Yeah, so if you're so inclined, throw him some love in the form of money and say goodbye because we're gonna go ahead and close up now.
Hell yeah!
All right. So yeah, thanks for joining us for this.
No worries, man. I enjoy chatting to you guys.
It's been fun, man. Again, we appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Thanks everyone in the chat for showing up, and we will see you later.
Ooh-wee.